Alright, this is an updated video, or kind of an update, but also a completely new video. I'm going to showcase some of my favorite techniques that are usually associated with Aikido, even though they exist in pretty much any form of grappling. But in my opinion, they're quite applicable. Of course, none of them are going to be high percentage. So this technique that I'm going to show, the first one, is in Tomiki Aikido called Tenkai Kote Hineri, and in normal Aikido it's Sankyo, and it's the one that looks like this. And I personally think that it's a great thing to set up from arm drags, from right over here, especially if you get a very tight grip like this. If I'm getting this, then I'm holding this hand close to me like this, not like here. If we're fighting, I want it to be really close and the palm to be facing outwards. So this needs to be here, and I need to really lock it. And once I have it here, this is the first step. And of course, the dangers are if he goes, if I don't have a good grip, he just takes my back and I'm screwed.
You dead!
And I think that's the biggest danger of this technique, but it's the same danger and the same risk of any shoulder throw. Like you can fuck that up. Like if you try and do the vertushka, you can fuck that up. So it's not very different in terms of risk. It's just a bit harder to set up. But once you get it, it's great, I think. And actually, it's very common, well, not that common, but there's, in BJJ, they call it the gimura, when they do it with the gi. So what they do essentially is they open their gi, they wrap it around here, and they do this, but it's wrapped in the gi, and it's called gimura. But it is essentially the same technique. But what we're doing here is keeping it close to my body as much as I can. Ideally, I'd want to be here, and I have to use a motion that's similar to if I was going to shoot. Like if I'm going to shoot for some kind of a takedown, for a back take, for a double leg, I need to use the same motion, and I need to be here. If I'm here and just standing straight up, getting under is going to be very hard, as you can see. But if we're fighting, I'm doing this, and I set it up, and I have it really firmly, and I pull down like this. And then I switch fast. As you can see, now this is a very good grip. And come closer.
Come closer.
It's really important that this hand keeps facing that way. Ideally, it would still be pressed around my body, and then all I have to do is keep twisting. Or do it here. And this is what's doing the lock. Now, the way that you went down is more or less the most ideal thing that could happen. Actually, like this, I think this thing can happen, but it's very rare. If you get it really deep right here, and then you swing it here, I think you can get this. That's probably the thing that looks the coolest and probably the ideal situation. But 9 out of 10 times that's not gonna happen. What's gonna happen though, the worst case scenario, if you actually do pull off the technique, is you will simply get a good back take. I'm doing it here, but I lose the grip, and if I'm still here, I can get a good back take. That's sort of the worst thing that can happen if you actually do the technique. In my experience, what happens the most, I think, is like we're fighting, I'm here, maybe I'm taking some kind of shoulder throw, I'm gonna do this, I drop down, go here. I have this control for a bit. Maybe I keep this here, and then maybe I have some kind of control, and then go down or whatever. The options are endless. I think that's the most common thing that happens. So that's Tenkai Kote Hineri in Aikido or Sankyo. If you're doing it traditionally, it's like, and then you do 7 billion flips and fucking die. Okay. That's the first Aikido technique that I like to use.
Aikido is better than Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Technique number 2.
I think it's called Ude Hineri, I think I pulled it off on you once. I pulled it off on everybody at least once. But I think it also comes from, what is this called? Arm drag. My English is not working. From an arm drag. We're Croatian guys, please. Same thing. We're fighting whatever, and I did it from an arm drag. And it's essentially this. I think I've done it once to you. And from here, it's essentially like, you know, in like police movies, I think it is like an escort thing.
It is.
Yeah, where they have the person is like, fuck you. Or whatever. But essentially, like if you just try to do it from here and like, come on, please. Of course, it's not gonna work. But if you sneak it from like a very common basic grappling technique that everybody knows, this C grip or whatever, like,
Grip.
yeah, the Pac-Man crab.
Claw.
The scorpion claw.
Claw.
Let's make it sound like traditional and kung fu. Then you can get this to be okay. The thing is, this is not gonna last. Like you're not an idiot. You're either gonna fall or you're gonna do that. Like if you're really fast and if you really get deep, if you get really deep and really twist, the person will fall. But if not, again, just like the Tenkai Kote Hineri, if I do this and it just lasts for a moment, you got this. That's like the ideal position as well. Like, so yeah, I think that's called Ude Hineri. Ude Garam is this, I think. Yeah, that's Ude Hineri. I think I don't, there's too many names for the same technique. That was technique number 2. And now, my personal favorite, everybody knows what it is.
Wrist
You're
twist.
sick and fucking tired of hearing that word. Oh!
Wrist twist or...
It's the Kote gaeshi. Let's go. So this is the updated part of the video because since we did this already. When you're here, when you throw a knee, then you go. But, of course, this is my favorite place to start from. Now, this here, I'm not the best gi person. So I don't usually do it from the gi, but it is possible. And sometimes it can even be easier because you can count that the person will keep holding on this. Of course, if they're like stiff arming, if you're being strong, it's gonna be harder to do it. But that's where this motion is imperative and where it's really important. There's like a potentially mini lock right here that just kind of is being a pain in the ass, right? Like just having it, like if you're,
It's a bit uncomfortable.
You mean in
yeah,
the...
it's a bit uncomfortable.
You mean pain in the hand?
Yeah, it's not gonna do anything, but it's gonna make my Kote gaeshi easier than if it was like this. Like this, you're gonna stiff arm. But if it's this way, if this is happening, if his hand is not staying like this, if it's staying upwards, now it's way easier to do that. If you have the body mechanics in the right place. First off, I'm breaking his posture. I'm doing this. I'm loosening that wrist and the grip. And from here, if I just try and twist, it's not gonna work without my entire body following it. From this situation, because you're grabbing my gi, it's better if I'm very close. Now, the biggest danger, again, just like all of these techniques, if I fuck this up, if I do this, I'm screwed. Like this is the worst thing that can possibly happen. If you feel that you don't have this, if you feel like you have the tight grip still and I can't, if I don't have, there's no reason for me to try and force, that's gonna happen. If I get it really fast and correctly, and I crank here, and watch my footwork, this is what's important. I'm keeping the 90 degrees, the elbow is gonna be around 90 degrees. I'm gonna go down, and I'm turning my entire body into it. As I'm pressing here. You're gonna stop. But you have to press those tendons, like right here. You have to, like, go hard. Again, the high fall. Can you do the high fall version just so it looks cool? Like just roll. Okay. Like the best situation that can possibly happen is I do this, and I twist, and he goes down. Oh, that's so badass. And then I can do like whatever the fuck.
Which is not impossible.
It's not impossible, but most of the time, you're gonna grab the wrist, you're gonna awkwardly turn, and they're just gonna awkwardly fall, and it's gonna look like shit. But it's gonna work. What if you don't fall? Some people are just strong as fuck, or you just fuck it up, like I do all the time. And do crank, but you're not falling. You're keeping here, keeping here, keeping here. Now this, again, at least if I'm not getting any kind of a better position from here, at least this is position. I'm keeping you off balance. If I just continue turning, as you can see, right here, and then I do some kind of throw, just go down, or maybe even better, I grab the jaw, I go back, this sort of shit. That's possible from a Kote gaeshi because it's essentially just like when you're doing normal stuff. You want this arm to be in position. Doing this, getting it here, is in position. Like you can grab the belt and maybe then pull the weight or whatever. So at least you're getting that. Now, if we're doing it not off of a grip, we're doing it from here. Maybe you had it there if we're doing no-gi, if we're being nudists. That's your joke. That's his joke. So if you're being a nudist and you're not wearing this, if you get the Kote gaeshi here and you don't get the fall, what can happen is you keep turning. Again, you can get the back, the pressure, and the arm will collapse into that, like here. This is what's gonna happen. Like this, and then you get the back from here. Like that's, when I'm doing it against people that are heavier and stronger than me, if I get the Kote gaeshi, that's usually what happens. Like I do this and they crumble in like this, and then I get the back. Because simply sometimes there's just not enough strength in me or I screwed up the technique. Also, if you feel, just like from here, that you don't have the grip, just abandon it, don't do it. That's, I think, the worst thing is if you chase this technique. We're doing this and I want to do some kind of, like the Tenkai Kote Hineri, or the this one. You're trying to do any of these and you instantly feel that you don't have the grip, that you're just abandon it, don't do it. That's the worst idea that you can pursue.
At the end, those are great back grabbing techniques.
Yes, usually what happens is they become just a sneaky back things. Alright, that was video number 1 of the new series that we're going to be doing with this camera, because we finally upped the production quality.
Let's go the charger.
Yes. This was the Dirty Rotten Guard Puller, this is the Spinning Wrist Lock Man, and the cameraman is... Oh shit! And the cameraman is the Technique Sponge. Oh wait, now I have to somehow escape with the wrist lock, so do we... Please let me make... My name needs to make sense. Let me... Just let me go, goddamn. The goddamn wrist lock, man. I swear to God they work. I swear.
Budite dobri I pozdravite kod kuće.
Unsubscribe from In Defense of the Tradition. Just kidding, keep following me. We have to break 400. Alright, next time we're gonna cover more of the internet's favorite martial arts. We did the MMA community's favorite martial art, that was Aikido. And next time we're gonna do Wing Chun or some Kung Fu shit. Alright, thanks for watching. That's about it. So, this technique, Edgar Degan.